Hi, welcome to this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm excited. We've got a full house again this week. I've got Mary Lancaster, Kelsey Swanson, Kate McMurray, and Callie Hutton with us today. Ladies, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having us.
We also had 2 additional releases this week. Amanda Marielle had a Lion's Den book, Between the Lion and Ruin, that came out. And Abigail Bridges has the start of a brand new series, The Heart of the Rake. It's the Silver Vixens. So I'll make sure to put the links to those in the comments so you can grab them if you haven't gotten them already. And we'll just dive right in and talk about Mary's book, which is book 8, right? In the Silver and the Gray. The Riddle of the Rose. So I want to know what the riddle is and where our couple is at this point.
Okay, well, our couple, Constance and Solomon, are married now. They've been on their honeymoon and they've had the trauma of coming home, and now they've got yet another mystery because somebody they met on their honeymoon comes home, and he wants them to investigate the death of a young friend of his, an opera singer, who he seems to think has died mysteriously. Nobody else thinks this because she has a heart condition, so they think she just died in her sleep, and that was fine. There's nothing to say she was hurt. Nobody can find anything wrong, but he's convinced that it's not right. So they start to investigate to see if he's right or if he's not, why he's trying to make something of it. They don't entirely trust him. But the riddle of the roses is the fact that they find the whole bedroom smells of roses when they go in to see the body, and there's a lovely vase of nice red roses sitting in the bedroom. So but then the maid says they weren't there last night when she left her in bed. So how did they get there by the morning when the maid went in and the roses were there?
There was an admirer of some sort.
Somebody must have in the room, or she'd hidden them somewhere or what. So that's the one suspicious thing that they have. So that's the riddle basically, and they have to work out what's been going on. And then of course they have their own issues. Solomon wants things to be respectable. If you haven't read the books already, I should say that they're a slightly odd couple because Constance is the madam of brothel, so she's not remotely respectable, and her husband Solomon is very wealthy and to do and respected. So they're slightly odd, but they have got married, and he's sort of trying to make her a bit more respectable and get people to accept her through her charity work rather than obviously her more nefarious exploits. So so they have that going on, and he wants to have a big party in the house with everybody, including respectable people and their wives. And Constance knows the people won't come because she's below the pale. They won't come. So she doesn't want to risk him being hurt by this, and he wants her to be liked. So they have a bit of a clash there. So they have to work that out. And then Constance's very colourful mother is also involved with the man who gets them to investigate in the first place. That's back in her youth, and he doesn't know anything about her. She was quite respectable when he knew her, and now she's anything but. So there's a bit of that going on too. So there's a lot to sort out and unpack, and so they've got it all cut out for them.
Oh, I love that. I love that you still have the tension because it's slow burn romance. So it starts out with a couple in the beginning not together, and then we get to watch them fall in love and get married, and now we get to watch them like navigate, their differences as married people. I love that there's an intimacy there that I really, really like.
Yeah, and it's not the happy ever after isn't without its little hitches and obstacles, because it doesn't work like that in real life. So they've got to work these things out and move on to the next crisis.
Yeah, and both of them wanting the other one to be happy and knowing that the thing that they're pushing for is not going to be the thing that gets you there. Has just a lovely layer of tension to it.
Hopefully.
Awesome. So how many more do we get after this one?
One more after this. The Corpse on the Canal will be the last one in the series. So the very romantic titles.
Such an image. I got such an image. It's a bloated body in water. Why?
Why not? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and I do love I love that slow burn mystery, and it's like there's a lot to love there. So awesome. Well, the next book that came out this week is Kelsey's book, and it's The Rake's Bride, and it's book 1 in a brand new series. So I want to hear about the book and about the series. It's The Reformed Rakes.
Yes. So this is the first book in my second series with Dragonblade. I'm very excited about it. My first series was spy-centric, and they're both part of the Flame line, so they're both steamy, very spicy historical romance. This series is actually, it builds off of book 3 in my Spy Society series. So we have a lot of carryover characters.
Mhm.
So even though this is not Spy Society, we have Gideon coming into, he's the introduction to the Reformed Rakes.
Fantastic.
So yes, so he is technically a Reformed Rake, even though he's part of the Spy Society. So now we have one of his good friends, Rafe, who inherits an impoverished estate. But not only that, he inherits his sister's 3 children after she passes away. So he's got 3 wards, an impoverished estate, and he's like, something's got to change. I have to now not only figure out how to not be worse off, but to also care for these children who he genuinely does love.
We have a single dad.
Yeah, single dad. So he's like, I need a rich wife. And sure enough, an American heiress comes over, shipping heiress. And so I had a lot of fun writing an American heroine. Her name is Victoria Rockford. And her father and brother are kind of looking at expanding the shipping company into now having this sort of London branch where they're then able to, become even wealthier and expand their business and provide more jobs. And so Victoria's story is very much kind of navigating London society, and now she's kind of a spectacle. She's an object of interest, but she's also looked down upon because she's not technically part of their society. But she has money, but her manners are not quite what they expect, and she has no title, and she comes from a working class family. Like the shipping company was only just conceptualized in the last couple decades. So new money. Yes, basically new money versus old money. So she's kind of lacking friendship. So Rafe sees his in as he's like, I'm going to be her friend. I'm not going to pursue her like the other men here. I'm going to be her friend. And so that's kind of how he ingratiates himself to her and her family, and they get married, but he doesn't tell her that he needs her as like a mother to his wards. So she's under no illusion that she was always going to marry for money. Whoever she married was going to need money, but now she's also got these wards to help take care of, and so that it creates a lot of scenarios where they butt heads, and he constantly puts his foot in his mouth, and so I had a lot of fun writing the story. The children are a very big part of the story, which isn't really something I've had in any of the books so far, so that they were fun to write, and I took a lot of inspiration from my own life. So yeah, so then the series follows the other friends as they move through this meeting of their matches and trying, reforming the Rakes.
Oh, fantastic. Are the Rakes connected in any way, or is it just
they're all very close friends from school, and then I love writing. All my books take place in the same world. Different series are all in the same world. So if you've read any of my other books, you're going to see a lot of crossover characters, a lot of scenarios that are mentioned, and so there's a lot of kind of very complex interwoven plot points. So it is kind of fun to see them reappear and in each other's books.
As a reader, I love that because it's almost like you have an in right away. You get like extra attached right away because you have characters you already know and love. So it's like fantastic. Awesome. Well, that sounds like huge fun. And I love books with kids, because the kids, the hero and heroine don't just get to play off of each other. They get to play off what that role is going to be too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the next book that came out this week is Kate's book, and it's No Less Than a Marquess. and it is book 3 in the Nightfire Club. I'd love the name of this series. Kate, can you tell us about the book?
Yeah, this is it's the third book in the series of pretty interrelated books. So I do recommend reading the whole series because there's a secondary romance that plays out across all 3 books, and I think it gets I sort of put those characters through the ringer in this third book, so I think it's worth it to read the first 2 first. But in the third book, the series is focused on. Sorry, there goes my cat. The series is focused on 4 close friends who all grew up together and went to school together. And in this book, their friend Fletcher is the hero, and he finds out in the first chapter of the book that his lady best friend Louisa has just gotten engaged to a very eligible duke, and Fletcher feels some kind of way about that, and he isn't really sure why. And the premise is basically that these 2 people have been close friends forever and are obviously in love with each other, but are being dummies about it. And I think that the idiots to lovers trope wound up being really fun to write about because, yeah, like these are 2 characters who just like are not aware of what their feelings are, and that was pretty fun. But what ends up happening is at one point, Louisa figures out that the Duke may not have her best interests in mind. So she goes to Fletcher and is like, how do I resolve this? How do I, like, can you get me out of this, basically? And so then they spend the rest of the book trying to figure out how to get her out of the engagement. And then there's this secondary romance with 2 characters, Lark and Anthony, who have been sort of the through line through all 3 books. And some bad things happen off the page. I don't want to spoil anything if no one has read the first 2 books, but they parted ways at the end of book 2. So this is them sort of resolving it and getting back together and finding their happy ever after. And it's sort of an interesting contrast, I think, because that storyline is more dramatic, and then the Fletcher and Louisa storyline is more light and fun. There is some heavy stuff in it, but it's not like, you know, it's
just
nothing
waiting to see if they realize how they feel about each other.
Yeah, and they do. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a romance novel. They figure it out eventually, but but Louisa has to work out like what the Duke's that she's engaged to, what his real plan is, and why he proposed to her, because they didn't know each other super well before he proposed. So she finds out a lot about him sort of as the book goes on. And the Duke was kind of a fun character to write too, because I wouldn't say he's a villain. He's sort of complicated, but he has his own reasons for doing what he does, but he's very he's kind of uptight and very like sort of stiff. And so, you know, she sort of realizes pretty quickly that that's not the sort of person she wants to end up with. So.
Okay, now I have to know what the kitty's name is.
Oh, that was Sadie. She's doing her, like, I don't know, early afternoon zoomies.
That's okay. She didn't go in front of you. Maeve Grayson has cats, and her cats always seem to go like right in front of her.
It's very weird about cameras. I don't know why. And she also hates to be picked up, so I'm not going to do that to her because she'll probably claw my face off. But she's just like running around now.
Well, the book sounds fantastic, and I love that we get like 2 love stories for the
yeah.
Like, you know.
And like I said, I think the impact will be greater because we meet Fletcher and Louisa in the first book in the series, so like they've been as part of the series all along.
Yeah.
So I think reading them in order is recommended.
Very cool.
And the first one is I Never Forget a Duke, in which the Duke has amnesia. So that is an incentive.
Very cool. Well, the Callie's book actually came out previous week, but we were able to catch up with her now.
Yes.
And her book is the Highlander's Vow, and it's book 2 in the Mackenzies of is it Mackenzies of Loud? Okay,
That's how I pronounce it. I'm sure someone from England would
it's your
say
book. Let's go. you can be the master of that domain. So.
Well, I wrote a series a long time ago that was set in Bath, England. And of course, I pronounced it Beth. And I pronounced it to a friend of mine from Australia. She goes, no, it's pronounced Bath. I'm like, okay. It just seems so weird. But anyway, pronunciations are different. So my book is the second book in my Mackenzie series. There's the main character, Gregory Mackenzie. He and a friend of his, years ago when they were just training, one of the men that was training with them was killed in a battle, and he had a wife and a couple of kids. And since they were young, it really struck them that that could happen to them. So they made a vow that if one of them is killed and the other one's still not married, he would marry the widow, so she would have someone to protect her.
Like
so of course,
kind of thing.
So he gets an email. Well, I'm way off time here. He gets a letter saying that this guy has died, and that someone found the paper with the vow on it. So he's got to go up and collect his wife. He's not married. So he goes to collect her. And when he gets there, he finds out that her uncle has decided that he wants her to marry somebody else. And so when she refuses, he locks her up. So my character has to actually rescue her in order to marry her. And he does. And then the story goes on where they have their little differences and all. And then the uncle decides not to let him get away with it. So I'm not going to give away what happens, but something happens to their relationship because of what the uncle wants. And they travel different places, one trying to track the other one down, kind of thing. So that's basically it. It doesn't seem as worthy or wordy as everybody else's story does, but it's a simple romance. I mean, he goes to marry her and finds out that she's being held prisoner, and he rescues her, and they try to make a life from there.
Moments, it's like
yes, and so there's quite a twist at the end. It's kind of surprise at the end, which in some ways leads to the third book. So
is the third book the last one in the series, or are there more than three?
Right now there's three. I don't know if Catherine wants to continue it or not, but the third one is where the characters, I've got all these different plots in my head, but the third one is out there somewhere. I just turned it in, so it's mixed up in my head with the one that we're talking about, because I didn't make notes on the third one because I thought I'm already confused as it is.
I don't think I've seen the theater for the third one yet, so it's probably a little ways out.
Yeah, I just turned it in about a month ago for editing. So that right now is the last one. I don't know if she wants to continue it or not. We'll see.
Cool.
But it's all set in the Highlander. My last three series have been Highlander books. So I love that,
and I think there are definitely places for simple romances, although this one doesn't really sound all that simple. But I think that's why we read them, because we know where we're going to end up. Like, you can take us on whatever kind of windy journey you want, but I can trust.
Right, because it's a romance, yeah.
Get me where I want to go at the end, so I can give you my time and my attention. Awesome. Well, we have a little bit of time left, and a bunch of you have said that this character was fun to write. And so I'm curious about what it is that makes a character fun to write. What is it that gets you excited when you're writing? What is it that makes you feel like you just not again? I can't do this again.
There are many of those moments. Yes. Yeah, there are many of those moments.
I love banter.
Well, my character was fun to write because of the vow he made when he was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And something, I wouldn't say he didn't remember it, but it was way in the back of his mind. And then all of a sudden he gets this letter, because at the end of the first book is when he gets the letter, and he says to Daniel, who's the character of the first book, I have to leave. Where are you going? Going to pick up my wife. And he leaves. So, it's kind of interesting writing him, because he never had any intention of marrying, and he never expected to have to fulfill the vow, but there it is. So it was kind of fun for that, because he was kind of discombobulated for a while there. It's like, a wife, I have to have a wife, and that was not in his plans. So that's why it was fun.
Yeah, I can see that. Kelsey, you said you liked the banter?
I love writing banter. That's my favorite thing when they have a good back and forth. That just everything just flows from there. And then I love angst. I like torturing my characters a little bit.
Yes, love that.
I don't know what
Love
that
that.
says about me, but I love writing angst and good groveling and groveling, banter, and angst are my three favorite things. So when I can put those in a story, like that's I'm a very happy person.
It's funny how some characters just have that too.
Yeah.
Like some characters, the conversation between them is just like, like you feel like you're just trying to keep up. And other
Mhm.
times it's like, why is this so slow? Like why is it so much work?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
interesting. I wrote a character one time who I had planned to make him like a mean father. And when I started writing the scene with him in it, his very first scene, he wasn't like that. So I changed the way he was, and it ended up with him getting his own book somewhere down the line because
Oh.
he just wasn't mean when I started writing him. He was like, no, this is not a mean character. So that does happen sometimes.
I think for me, I mean, this third book is Friends to Lovers, which is like my absolute favorite trope to read. And in this case, the other characters in the series have been telling Fletcher for the last, 2 books, like, obviously you're in love with Louisa. And Fletcher's like, no, she's like a sister to me. That's not the relationship we have. And so it's a sort of a twist on the dynamic that I thought was just like sort of was fun because these two characters are just like so oblivious and so dumb about like what, and I don't mean that derogatorily, like they're smart people who are just like dumb about how their emotions and it was fun, particularly for Fletcher because he's been a character in the series all along. Louisa has been too, but not as prominent. And so to really explore this relationship where he's just like, wait a minute, why do I feel so bad about what's happening? Like, why does this make me sad? Like, and he's just so clueless about and not in touch at all with his own emotions. And I just found that really funny. So
Yeah.
I getting into that, the dynamic between them and then having them have that moment where they're like, wait a minute, that was I just like, it was sort of fun and joyful. And I found it entertaining to write.
And I love that in Friends to Lovers because you have this huge, huge stake.
Yeah.
Because somebody's got to say it first.
Mm-hmm.
And if the other person doesn't say it back, like if it's not a reciprocal kind of thing, then you've lost the friendship. Where in other cases, there's not so much weight.
Right. And I get it that some of that happens in this case too, because they're not communicating well. Like they're not expressing their feelings in right. Just like these dummies who aren't in touch with their emotions can't figure out how to express them. So they keep saying things to each other and the other one gets sort of offended and like that. So like that's sort of how it plays out as the book goes on. And so then they have to sort of be like, maybe we should just like have a conversation where we say what we mean instead of, and I think part of the fun thing about particularly writing historical is that, I think people wouldn't be as blunt, you know what I mean? Like, I think and we understand psychology more now. And so I think that we can have more clear communication in theory, not always, but but if you're, especially the dynamic between an unmarried man and an unmarried woman who sort of have to be very proper, who are like trying to figure out how do we say what we mean without crossing a line is like, I think that like it's tricky and challenging. And I find that fun to write.
I can see that formality and like the set of rules that go along with living in society are almost like another character in their own right because they
and then it's sort of, there's a puzzle to solve as a writer too, because you're like, well, how do I get these characters alone without anybody losing their minds about it? Like, how do I get them in a space where they can have a candid conversation, but like her mother's not just outside the door, like that kind of thing. So that, that you sort of have to puzzle through that too. So
I can see how that would be fun. Mary, what about you? What makes writing a character fun to you?
A mixture, I guess, of everything everybody else has said. Banter is great, but when it doesn't flow properly for whatever reason, then I find that more of a struggle. I really like it when you have when characters do the unexpected and they're not like they're meant to be, like Callie's villain who didn't work out that way. It's that I think that's really nice when that happens, and then when it all comes together and you realize it hasn't worked for a reason, and then you could get it. So you just go with it, and then it all comes out. And it's not always the way you start off, the way that you planned it to be. It can be just it take you by surprise, and then it works. And I really like that, but it doesn't happen as often as I would like.
So you've had these characters for 8 books now. So you know the main couple pretty well, because we've been with them the whole time. Is it different to write a character that you've been with for a long time than it is to kind of puzzle your way through something new?
Well, I guess it is, because if they've responded wrong, or if this conversation should not go that way because that's just not the way they are, or if it doesn't, then there has to be a reason for it. I suppose you're concentrating more on the secondary characters in that case, so that they can be the ones that take you more by surprise. I think, I suppose it's a different challenge from writing brand new characters every story, or at least having different heroes and heroines who come to the fore more. It's it's a different challenge.
Feeling like when you know a character well enough that you know that they wouldn't say that. When you try to make them do something that they wouldn't do, and you know them well enough, because in the beginning of the book it always feels like you just kind of
exactly. You go with it. If you say that, then you go with that, and then you think, now what am I going to do? It's not working that way. Or sometimes it does, and it's better, and that's great too.
So, Kate, you said that Friends to Lovers was your favorite trope to read. Does anybody else have favorite tropes to read? And are they ones you like to write as well? Look at
enemies to lovers. Yeah, enemies to lovers. I like my angst.
What about you, Callie? Do you have a favorite trope?
I'm trying to think of all my books, and none of them are similar, so I don't think I have a favorite trope. Just when I think of a story, I don't think of the characters, I think of the story, and then I fit the characters in, and then the characters might, like I said, with that one book, might go in a different direction. I have to kind of catch up. But I don't really think I have a favorite trope, no.
So you get the plot first and then the characters come after?
Yes, not a definite plot, but a general idea of what the book is going to be about. And then from there, I start working on, the characters and things. And that's when, as I said, I don't really have a favorite way. Because even this series now, I just turned in the 3rd book, and all 3 tropes are different. So it just kind of works out that way. Maybe I get bored doing the same trope over and over again. I don't know.
How about everybody else? Do you get characters first, or do you get plot line first?
I think I get premise first. It's sort of a like, well, what if this? Although in the case of this particular series, like I was actually going specifically for something really trope driven, because my inspiration for it was that when I started writing the first book, I had just read like all of Judith McNaught's backlist.
Oh goodness!
And and I really loved those like old school, like as a big romance reader myself, I love those old school, like really trope heavy bodice rippery kind of romances. And so I was like, okay, I want to take a stab at that. And then I just sort of sat and was like, well, what are the weirdest tropes like that I can start with? And so I started with amnesia, because I was like, let's go like full hog, like soap opera. And then
amnesia will do it. That'll
and that was super fun too, because like I love a bonkers trope, so I'm like, no, let's do it. Let's do something really out there. And then there's a secret baby in the 2nd book, spoiler. But the 3rd book, by the time I got to the 3rd book, I was like, well, like I've sort of exhausted the crazy tropes that I'm interested in writing, so what do I do for this one? And then I thought, well, I already have these two existing characters. Let's just pair them up and see what happens. And so, but yeah, for me, it's more like, I don't know that I necessarily have, like, it takes me some time to develop characters. So I usually start with just sort of a, like, well, what if the Duke had amnesia? Like that, like just sort of a premise. And then I kind of go from there.
Mary, what about you?
Normally, I think I start with the characters and then make the story for them. I suppose with the Silver and Grey, because they're the same main characters throughout, then it has been slightly different. So it is this sort of the story first, and then the people that you need in that story to make it work, and who's the murderer or the villain or whatever going to be. And sometimes I don't know when I start to write it.
You have to navigate the mystery. That's huge,
Yeah, yes, yeah. Because it's quite important and that kind of thing that you do make it work, and that readers will want to follow it on and find out who it is, and not guess too early, but not be annoyed if you get to it too late. And so it's
and that, like, readers working for their dinner kind of thing, like keeping them just engaged enough so that they feel like they have to work for it a little bit, but not go like far out of the reach that it's like doing a hard puzzle. I'm like, I'm done,
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yes.
This is supposed to be for fun,
It is. It's fun. It's escapism.
Yeah, but I want the challenge too, and I want to learn a little bit of something too, which is, I think, something that historical romance does particularly well, because you get to learn little bits and pieces that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah, that's why I like reading it. Yeah, and writing, I suppose, because there's always new bits of research that you do. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Well, ladies, it was delightful talking to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. I love hearing about your books, and I love hearing about the series and the things that drive you to write. And I know their readers do too. So I'll make sure we put the link to all the books in the comments so you can grab them if you haven't gotten them already. Dragonblade books are the best deal on pre-order. When you see it go on pre-order, it's only going to be that price for 2 weeks. So jump on it right away. Don't wait. Get it right away. 99 cents. You can't get bad coffee for that. So like right on it. And if you don't manage to get it, then you can always read in Kindle Unlimited, which is my favorite way to read, because you can go the whole way through a whole series, just one right after another. All right, ladies, thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.